And so this is based on probably the most famous demonstration of short power in martial arts history, and I'll include a link in the notes where you can go and look at it for yourself. Basically, it was a demonstration that Bruce Lee did in Long Beach, where he was in the boxing ring and a full-grown man was standing in front of him, just about the distance away from his fist, and his fist was only 1 inch away from the man's chest. And through his amazing generation of kinetic energy through his body out into his fist, in that 1 inch, he was able to drive his fist so hard into the man's chest that he was knocked over backwards. That's the famous 1 inch punch demonstration. So we're not going to be knocking over anyone in our lesson today, but I am channeling Bruce Lee in this lesson, and let's get started. So instead of this recreational, long, outside-in swing path and contact, we want something entirely different. And this is where I'm going to switch over to my Bruce Lee character and demonstrate what Bruce Lee was all about with his short power. And in doing so, I also want to reinforce these concepts of the movement map that we've been talking about. Now, in terms of boxing or the martial arts and tennis, the swing path, again, is not a roundhouse punch where my hand now is extended out on the punching circle, the throwing circle early, and then coming in with a long, slow, uniform movement of my rotation of my body. Opponent could see that punch coming, and it wouldn't do much damage if it got there. It probably wouldn't get there. So what do we want instead? Well, in very large circle terms, what kind of punch do we want on a topspin forehand? Well, basically we want a uppercut. So we want the hands not to be extended from the body, but we want to be pulled in, and we want to be in a crouch. We want to sink into the ground so that we have power to push out of the ground. And so we're going to do some sort of wind up. Maybe we don't want to give away our opponent and do some big old wind up, but there'll be a coil up here and a tilt of the shoulders, just like we have in the topspin shot. And the arm and elbow are in a powered position. I can feel the coil in my body and feel it into my back. And I can feel the pressing into the ground as I sink here, ready to start the turn of the swing and the forward part of the swing. So again, it would be a mistake to stand up straight and extend the arm early in this forward movement, and again, slowly lose all the momentum of the swing. Instead, as we power from our feet and ground and we turn our hips and we get to about here, the turn of the swing, turn of the punch, we're just driving up energy and gathering momentum. We're not firing and exploding at that point. It's only when we get to the turn of the punch and the swing, and we're relatively speaking, very close to the target, and our punch, it could be an inch away like Bruce Lee demonstrated. And so he would have everything coiled here, and then he would deliver all that power in 1 inch. But typically it's further away than that. It's 6 to 8 inches, much like the tennis racket is 6 to 8 inches away from contact before we are in a super aggressive internal rotation of the shoulder and a pronation of the forearm and twist. And so we're building momentum at the turn of the swing, and we've driven off. Our hips have stopped turning by here. Our upper torso rotation has turned and is stopping. And as that stops, the energy is now passing into my shoulder complex, down to my arm, and all the way out to my fist. And then we have the same sort of elbow whip release. We have the elbow tucked slightly ahead of this turning hip here. just like we do in topspin forehand. And now we're rising with our body, stopping with our lead leg, just like we stop with our non-hitting hand in tennis. And then we're stopping here so that the hitting side can now truly be aggressive and really fire through. So again, it starts like this, and then it might go. It all comes in the last 60% of this forward swing. That's where all the speed and power comes from.